So, who is the president? I guess on Tuesday's episode, I was saying, well, by Thursday, I guess we'll know. I'll talk about it Thursday. Well, I lied. I've made a liar out of myself because we don't know. Um, and I kind of was up to date with it yesterday morning. Like I woke up and was looking at stuff, and it came at like I don't know, came out's the right word, but that's when they were talking about. Just to give a timeline, that's when they were talking about like the Joe Biden, Michigan, and Wisconsin votes, like made that weird jump. Um, but then that was like the last thing I kind of kept up with. I know Trump filed lawsuits, but apparently I heard people say that the lawsuits he filed got dropped, and Pennsylvania like denied his request to uh like stop the counting or whatever it was. Like watch the votes being counted or something. I don't know. Don't come to me for your news, by the way, because I only have to pay attention to things that I'm even concerned about. But just in general, regardless of side, it's just weird. And also, it's very impressive because if it comes down to Nevada, and that's what it seems to be like. I mean, right now I'm looking at just the Associated Press numbers. Joe Biden 264, Donald Trump 214. And the only states left are Nevada, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Alaska. And Joe Biden's only expected to get Nevada, which is 6 votes. So let's say that the predictions are right and that Joe Biden only wins Nevada, then even that alone would be enough to he would win. And let's say Trump gets Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Alaska, he would have 265, I think. I think he would have 265. Regardless, it would be an incredibly close win. And that's implying, assuming that no foul play was involved. Let's just say, just in general, if those were the numbers, 270 to 265, that's insane and incredibly impressive. I saw Tyler, my old roommate, Tyler Funk. Hang on a second. Hang on one moment. There's idiots laughing out loud outside. I gotta close my window for the sake of the show. I'm back. Could you hear them? They were being very obnoxious. I meant to close my window before I started the episode, but I was like, well, it's 11:35 at night. No one's gonna be talking. Anyway, so Tyler tweeted about the election. He said, it's only rigged when they're losing, LOL. And then someone responded to that and was like, they just can't handle, they got their ass handed to them. And it was just like, look, I get what you're saying. I'm not saying, oh, you're such a jerk. But it also is like, no one got their butt handed to them. If it comes down to what people expect it to come down to, Trump lost by like 5 votes. I would consider that a fair loss, but I would not consider that getting your butt handed to you. But hang on a sec. I'm digging out of a bag. I hope that wasn't incredibly loud. That's all I'm going to say about the election. I don't have anything. I know the start of this episode is who is the president. Maybe I'll say one more thing. Arizona's confusing. They only had like 85% of the vote in, and they counted it towards Biden. Right now, I think they're only at 90% reporting. It's still a close race, so who knows if people are saying Arizona could flip, because a lot of the votes that haven't been counted yet in Arizona were real, like election day votes, not mail-in votes. And Trump needs like 65% of them to win, and he's been expected to get that many. I don't know. So Arizona right now is said to be certified for Biden, but it technically could still go either way. Because I know Associated Press and Fox News are both saying the same thing, that Arizona's already called, but CNN has yet to call for Biden. I don't know. I guess I certainly don't have the results in front of me. It's Thursday night right now. So, we're still waiting. All we can do now is just guess, but it certainly looks like Biden's going to win, but I guess it could still go either way. Now I'm going to eat sheets. This is going to be a laid-back ep. So, one second while I take a bite here. Alright, I'm back. I guess I'm probably not going to be able to eat and record at the same time. I'm going to have to keep pausing, which hopefully for you isn't a problem. If you didn't notice that, but just pause there, then it'll be fine. But I want this to be a laid-back episode. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the election. And I feel bad that this episode's coming out at like I don't know, it'll be like 1 in the morning when the episode comes out. Because today's Thursday. I'm recording it Thursday night at 11 p.m. where normally I would record at like 11 a.m. But I woke up today, I went to the gym, came home, made a smoothie, sat and watched Mr. Show, was doing schoolwork, went to work, came home, went to Sheets, did an econ quiz, and now we're right here. So it was my fault. I didn't record it. I had time to do it, and I didn't do it. I didn't ignore it. I just kind of forgot it because I was focused on. I'm out of my routine. Normally I wake up on Thursdays and do white coffee right away, but today I woke up right away and went to the gym, and I was thrown off. So I apologize. I'm going to make this episode a little longer. Normally we go about 30 minutes, so hopefully we go at least 30 minutes today. Or at least 30 minutes. So what have you folks been up to? Have you been watching the election? Have you ignored the election? I mean, I'm not going to get into the details of it, but I guess at this point it's like, looks like Biden's going to win. So I'm kind of just sitting here and going like, all right, that's fine. Biden wins. So now if it turns around, I guess, and goes, oh, Trump won, what the heck, it totally flipped, it'd be like, oh, come on. I was ready for Biden. So I don't know. All right, we'll talk a little more about politics. I don't know, how are you guys? Like, are you guys voting because you hate the candidate, or because you hate the opposing candidate, or because you agree with the candidate you voted for? Like, a lot of my stuff comes down to just like values of the party, I guess. Like, I'm not like, I don't hate Trump, I don't hate Biden. But I agree with a certain party's values more than I agree with the other party's values. And I guess that's what it comes down to more for me. So how do you guys vote? And I know like the stuff, when I do talk politics, it kind of seems like I'm talking more Trump. Like I brought up his taxes in the last episode. I think I talked about other stuff about Trump. I'm not necessarily trying to make it sound like you guys should like Trump more. It's more just like people our age automatically just like Biden. So I'm just trying to be like, I don't know. The point of the show is to like make you think about stuff you didn't think about before. Like I show you the song of the day. I'm trying to show you like weird songs no one's heard. I'm trying to show you weird words no one's heard. So I don't want to just sit here and go like, anyway, Trump's an a-hole and Biden's got the answers to Corona. Like that's what you hear all the time everywhere else. So it doesn't necessarily reflect my political views, but at least look at other details about Trump, for example, just because most people our age hate Trump, which is fine. I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm going to take another bite here. We're going to pause. You guys have probably heard me talk about, well, you certainly have heard me if you watched the episode, talk about this town of Warren, Pennsylvania before, up near Erie. A lot of my family lives there. That's where my parents both grew up. And I may have talked about my cousin before. We get along very well. I consider him one of my closest friends. But when I'm in Warren, when I go there to visit every summer, every Christmas, and now like on my own, now that I have a car, I go up and visit, I turn into a moron. And for today's laid back app, I'd like to tell you some examples of the stupidest things that me and my cousin have done. My cousin and I have done while we spent time in Warren together. First of all, when we were very young, so here's story number one. When we were very young, we didn't know how to read. And there was this bus that would go through my cousin's neighborhood, go on a street every day. And when we were like 4 years old, couldn't read, the bus went by and my cousin looked at me, he goes, Harrison, did you see what that bus just said? And I was like, no. And he goes, it said, you won't believe this? It said, Harrison and Colin are going to die. And we both screamed and flipped out and ran away and told our parents what the bus had said, which of course was false. We just read these words that we didn't know what they said and made up what we expected them to say. I also remember, this isn't really a story, but I remember vividly like the time before I could read a clock. And I only remember at his house that they had like an analog clock, and I was just like, I don't know what that means. There was also another time when I was extremely young where I heard someone call my name in their backyard on their back patio. So I ran to the deck and I ran right through the screen door and I started crying because I used to be a big baby when I was a kid. Another time, they have a swimming pool in their backyard, but this time I guess it was only half full for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe the sun evaporated the water. Either way, it was a half full swimming pool, and I jumped in. And they have like the staircase. Like their pool had like the fake staircase in it, but I guess that was out of the pool because it wasn't like built into the pool. It's just like an apparatus. So it was out of the pool, and I jumped in, and it was only half full, and the pool was deeper than I was tall, and I was just stuck in there for like 45 minutes, and I was just like, I need somebody get me out of here. Somebody get me out. Those are all coming back to me. I only have like 3 listed here, but now that I said the first one, I'm remembering them all. Another time, my cousin had one of those Razor dirt bikes, so we drove it around the back. We would drive it around the backyard and drive it around the neighborhood and stuff. And this is still like 6 years old. We were driving around the neighborhood, and my bike at home. I think this was my logic. My bike at home didn't have handlebar brakes. It had like the pedal brakes, where if you pedal backwards, it brakes for you. And these dirt bikes had the handlebar brakes, and I was driving. My cousin was on the back. We were driving around his block, and we got to a turn where it was like a big square. We turned to our left to get back onto his road, and so you turn to the left, and on your right, it's just a bunch of trees, like these big trees with like the leaves all the way to the bottom, pine trees, I guess, kind of thing, like a Christmas tree. How a Christmas tree is, where like, I don't know, big bushes, basically. So I turned the corner, but I did not use the brakes, and I remember thinking, like, I don't remember how the brakes work on this thing, because there was no pedals. I forgot that the brakes were on my handlebar, so I make that turn, but without using my brakes, I couldn't make the turn tight enough, fast enough, and I just drove straight into these trees, and we crashed into these trees and fell on the ground. And I remember this lady drove up and goes, "Are you guys okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, just forgot about the brakes." Speaking of breaks, I'm about to take a food break and eat this. I'm not pausing. Let's see how much time it takes me to eat this. All right, I lied about the break. It was like 30 seconds. I had to go back and cut it out. I didn't want you to hear me just smacking my jaw together. I chew with my mouth closed. Is that so hard to ask for people to do? What's next here? Of course, in 6th grade, so now we're jumping up a little bit. It was the 4th of July, and me and my cousin had got some fireworks. His parents had bought us some fireworks, but his parents were going out of town for the day. So we had the place to ourselves. We were like 12. And I was like, you know what we should do? We should take all the... So this is starting to get into the examples like those were stupid things that happened that were funny, but now we're getting into the examples that like, I don't have a good... It's like I'm a drunk guy. I have no sense of what a good idea is. So we were thinking about what to do, and I was like, you know what we should do? We should put all the fireworks together and make one big firework. And all we had were like sparklers. It wasn't even Roman candles or anything. It was just sparklers and like the paper sparklers that kind of like flare. So we got a Ziploc bag. That was our first mistake. We got a Ziploc bag, scraped all the gunpowder or whatever the heck off these sparklers, opened up the paper sparklers and dumped the powder into the Ziploc bag. And then we put a untouched sparkler, like a sparkler with still all the crap on it, in as a fuse, lit it, and then so it's a sparkler stuffed into a Ziploc bag filled with gunpowder or whatever the heck this stuff is. We light it. It goes down. It's on fire. It's getting closer and closer to this powder. And what do you know? It just catches on fire. It's just a fire. It doesn't explode. It's just a fire that just burned a hole in the grass. Now, speaking of a hole in the grass, our next story, of course, me and my cousin, we're getting older. This is probably freshman year. We wanted to have a party at his house, just in his backyard, like a campfire. So, over that summer, he didn't have a fire pit. So I was like, you know what? Let's just build one. He was like, all right, yeah. What do you need to build a fire pit? And I was like, well, I know people can make them on the beach with like out of sand and rocks. So let's just take sand out of your sandbox and then put it on the ground and then surround it with rocks, and then we'll be able to just have a fire anywhere. And then we thought, I don't want to give anyone credit of the idea because I don't know. This is a stupid idea. Again, we just don't think. Or at least I don't think. I don't know if my cousin's just along for the ride or if he equally does not think when we're around each other. It might not be a Warren thing. It might just be a cousin thing. Either way, we didn't want to get just sand just dug into the grass or anything. So we were like, you know what we should do? Let's just put cardboard underneath the sand. Put cardboard down on the ground. Cover the cardboard in sand. And who cares if cardboard? I mean, cardboard can burn, but if it's got sand on top of it, it's not going to burn. Come on. It's just to keep the sand from getting into the grass. So we put cardboard on the ground, covered the cardboard in sand, and then we built the fire on top of that. And we had the fire going all night. We were hanging out at the pool, playing music. I made an incredible playlist. That was like the first time I ever made like a playlist, and it was good. I remember it had Beastie Boys on it. I can't remember anything else. But we had this fire going all night, and the next morning it was like, all right, time to clean up this fire. And we go to pick up the cardboard. Like each of us goes on either end because we were just going to pick up all the sand off it and dump it back into the sand pit. And we lift up the cardboard, and it's surprisingly easy. And that's because all the sand is still on the ground, and we're lifting a piece of cardboard with a giant hole burned in the center of it. So all the sand just stayed on the ground, and the only part of the cardboard we picked up is the only part of the cardboard we could even see, because all the cardboard that was touching the sand was melted. And then we looked at the ground, and it's just sand in this, like, I don't know, inch deep hole, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot when there's no grass there. It's just this hole with just coals and sand in it. And it was like, we screwed up. I remember sitting there and watching from the inside of the house, watching my cousin have to help his dad fix this hole. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I don't know if I'm allowed to help. I feel like I might just need to take a step back and just can acknowledge that it was my mistake and I should not get in the way. The one after that is a good one, but I'm saving that for the end. It's the epitome of stories. Next, these are all short stories, by the way. I'm just trying to give them detail. I'm going to take a bite of a sub real quick. Next, we were probably 14 here. We were at my granny's house. My granny lives in Warren, my mother's mom. And so my cousin and I were over at my granny's house. We were playing hide and seek in the house with my younger brother and I think our other cousins. I can't remember. But I know we were playing hide and seek. So me and my cousin hid together, and we hid in my granny's laundry room, which is the downstairs bathroom. But the washing machine is in there, except it's covered by a sliding door, like a closet door basically. So me and my cousin jump on the washing machine and shut the door. And our uncle, not like either of our, not his dad, but just like our shared uncle, our mom's brother, our mother's brother. Our moms are sisters, so their brother, our uncle, who likes to get lost in the sauce a little bit, tosses him back. He comes in the bathroom, and we're like, oh crap, we're gonna get found. But then, because we don't know who it is, but then we hear the toilet seat lift up, and our uncle has about a minute-long pee. And me and my cousin are sitting on this washing machine. We cannot hold in our laughter, and our uncle just goes, "What the heck?" and hears us laughing and just bangs on the door. And so I don't know if he knew if we were playing hide and seek or if he thought we were just playing peeping Tom, just sneaking, watching people go to the bathroom. But oh my god, that was, I guess, like, of course that would happen. Like, what did you think was going to happen? I guess that's what all these stories come down to. Like, you burn a firework bag and it just lights on fire. Of course it's not going to explode. It's not going to shoot in the sky and go pew, 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 These freaking, this fire pit I made, of course, what did you think was going to happen? And you hide in a bathroom, and then someone comes in to pee, and they're peeing. Yeah, what did you think was going to happen? Next, this was over Christmas. Me and my cousin drove to Erie to go to a guitar shop. We went to Erie. And in the cities normally, I guess every road is a one-way road. We didn't know that. We drove out of this parking lot we were in, and went down the street. It was a 2-lane road. But then we see a guy like probably 50 feet ahead of us driving towards us, and we're like, what is this maniac doing? He's driving on the wrong side of the road. So then maybe it's like, okay, maybe they drive on the left side of the road here. So we look over the left lane. There's another car coming coming towards us on the left lane. We realize, oh my God, we're going down a 1-lane road. So we pull off real quick. Mind you, this is right in front of the Erie police station. There's cops outside as we are driving. We're looking at them. We've been well aware of their presence. But now we are driving down a one-way road in the wrong way. God, that was nuts. Nothing really came of that. We pulled out. We were all right. But I mean, can you understand where we were coming from? It was a 2-lane, one-way road. So we just saw the second lane. We were like, oh, that must be the lane you go home on. No, it wasn't. We could have been killed. It's official. I just finished sub number 1. The last time I visited Warren, I drove up there by myself. There's friends I made in Warren, of course. Some of my very close friends live in Warren. Some people that I like even more than my friends down here. Last time I was there, though, I was there alone, and this girl I know there asked me to come to a party she was having in a cabin of hers. So I was like, I'm not gonna go. I know my cousin doesn't want to go. Like I don't know. None of our friends are there. It'd just be weird. And then she's like, come on, go, come on. So then I was like, you know what? All right, I'll go. I'm just going to say hi, like to see these people I haven't seen. I'm gonna go. I'm coming back to Harrisburg tomorrow. Like I just want to see some of my friends here. So my cousin's like, well, I'm staying home. You go ahead. And I was like, all right, I'm going. I know how to get there. I'll be 20 minutes there, hang out for like half an hour, and then come back 20 minutes. I shouldn't even be longer than. I should be right around an hour. Like this was probably like 1 a.m. So I drove and left. I'm pretty aware of how to get my way around town there. So I got there. I got to her street, no problem. But this is like the middle of the woods. GPS was not working. So I got to the street right, but I didn't know what house was hers. Like what drive would it pull out on? Because it's not just like driveways, 2 feet long driveways. Sorry, I got the hiccups here. Not like 2 feet long driveways. These are like in the woods. So these driveways are like gravel driveways that are like 40 feet long. So I was like, well, I'm not going to just pull up every driveway. And the only thing I knew about her house, sorry, I'm blowing my nose. The only thing I knew about her house was there was balloons on the mailbox. But it was 1 o'clock in the morning. I could not see any balloons. So I still didn't really know that the GPS was broken. So I was driving down the street, and I passed a couple houses, and it was like, boo-doo-doo, turn around. So I pulled into a driveway, backed out onto the road, and went back down the other way. And I passed not the same spot. Like I hadn't passed the same spot as before when it told me to turn around, and it was like, doo-doo-doo, you need to turn around. So I was like, all right. I don't know what house this is, so I pulled into a driveway, backed down on the road, and went back the same way I started. And then it made the same sound, doo-doo-doo, you need to turn around. So I was like, all right, oh my God. So I normally don't back into places, so I was just like, I'm going to back in now. It'll be cool. I know I'm going to have to do this 50 times, so I'll just make one of these times that I had to pull into a driveway, I'll back in and then pull out. So I'm like, instead of having to do a 3-point turn, like pull in, back out, pull forward, I could just back in, pull forward. So I find a driveway that I need to turn around. I find a driveway, I line it up, I turn the wheel to back into it, and doo-doo! I immediately backed right into a ditch. And I was just like, holy spicoli. What did I just do? What did I just do? Oh my God. I backed into this ditch. My car is at a 45-degree angle. The front wheels are still on the road. But it drops, the middle of the car is touching the road. It's like a flat, and then it just drops like 90 degrees. So the back half of my car is just pushed up against the part of the ditch that goes back up again. So the rear view camera of the car is just grass. Sorry, I'm grabbing a snack here. Mac and cheese bites. Of course, if you have a Sheetz around you, I highly recommend a chicken bacon ranch sub and mac and cheese bites. Well, oh my God, I'm choking. I don't recommend those at all. Don't buy those. Anyway, I back in. I call my friend, and of course I was not planning on doing anything illegal tonight, but I knew my friends were. So I call my friend whose house it was, and I was like, and I don't necessarily have the best rapport with her when it comes to pulling pranks. This girl has been in love with me since like 7th grade, and I don't feel the same. So we kind of just screw with her, and not in a mean way. Well, it's gonna seem mean, but not in a way that's like, I don't know. It's friendly mean. We're friends, but I think she loves me. So we screw her. One time, me and my cousins were outside our house, and she was asked to hang out. So we were like, "All right, we're in your driveway, or we're out in front of your house. Come into the car." She comes to the car, and as soon as she walks up to the door, we yell, "Go, go, go!" And then we peel out and left her in the rain. That sounds horrible. You kind of just have to know the situation to find the humor in it. Anyway, so that's the kind of antics we pull on this girl, joking around with each other. So I call her, and I was like, "I'm here. I'm stuck in a ditch." And she's like, "You're kidding. You're lying. You're pranking me. You and Colin are there." I was like, "No, it's just me. I swear to God, I came here alone. I don't know what to do. I just need help." So she's like, "All right." So she comes out and sees I'm stuck in a ditch. And then I call my friend Jake, who was also at the party. And he's, of course, sauced. So I was like, "Jake, I don't know what to do." He's like, "Where are you, Harry?" I was like, "I'm stuck in a ditch." He's like, "Why aren't you here?" I was like, "I'm stuck in a ditch." So he walks out. Then eventually, after like a while, I don't know, fast forward an hour, we got like 10 people at my car just trying to push it out of the ditch, but it won't budge. The car is not coming out of this ditch, especially when the only people trying to push it are all drunk, and they think they're pushing as hard as they can, but they absolutely have no idea what they're doing. Another buddy of mine there was like, "Do you guys have pizza boxes? We should put pizza boxes onto the back wheel to get some traction." Mind you, my Chevy Malibu is front-wheel drive, so no matter what you put onto the back wheels, nothing is going to get it out of there. No traction. You don't need traction. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, so we have 10 drunk people there just trying to push this car out of the ditch, and of course, nothing's budging. So after like 3 hours, the girl whose house it was just like, "You should just stay over." And I was like, "No, I'm not staying over." She's like, "Just leave your car in the ditch till tomorrow, and then just stay over." I was like, "I'm not leaving my car halfway in the road and halfway in a ditch. I'm not a moron. I am getting this out tonight, even if it takes me till 6 in the morning, and I drive home to Harrisburg right away. I'm getting this car out." So finally, everyone gives up and leaves. "I'm sorry. I guess that's it." Yeah, like people drove by on ATV, like these ATVs they had from just because they live in the woods, and they're like, "Yeah, that's a crappy situation you got yourself in. Sorry, buddy. Wish I could help you, but there's nothing to grab onto." So those guys just abandoned me. Another group of guys that were driving were like, "Hey, you need some help?" And we're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "We really don't know what we can do for you." So finally, I have to call the tow truck place. It cost me $330 to get my car towed out of this ditch, and it took the guy like 15 seconds. His name was Leslie, like in Drake and Josh. God, it was terrifying. And of course, we have one more story left, and it's the greatest one of all time. But before that, I'd like to introduce you to the word of the day: benevolent. The word benevolent is an adjective meaning well-meaning and kindly. So just like very sweet. Or it can be used to describe of an organization serving a charitable rather than a profit-making purpose. Another word, because I'm going to give you 2 words because today's episode is late, so I'm sorry. Use the term ad nauseam. Ad nauseam. A-D space N-A-U-S-E-A-M. It's an adverb referring to something that has been done or repeated so often that it has become annoying or tiresome. The inherent risks of nuclear power have been debated ad nauseum. The movie of the day is a 2014 crime thriller running at 1 hour 57 minutes that is now on Netflix, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Nightcrawler. Los Angeles denizen Louis Bloom survives by scavenging and petty theft. He stumbles into a new career as a cameraman and, armed with a camcorder and police scanner, begins nocturnal forays across the city in search of shocking and grisly crimes. When he catches the eye of a shop-worn news director who welcomes the chance to raise her station's ratings, Louis goes increasingly greater lengths to catch the quote-unquote money shot. So this guy records like news footage or crime footage as he sees it, and then sells it to news casters, news companies. But then eventually he starts staging these shots and committing crimes in his own and getting the footage so that he can be the first one there no matter what. Okay, the story you've all been waiting for. Nah, actually, I'm sorry. What am I thinking? We have to say the song of the day. The song of the day is an underrated, unknown song by LCD Sound System called New York, I Love You, But You're Bringing Me Down.
New York, I love you, but you're bringing me down.
It's a beautiful song. It's like 5.5 minutes long, and it gets pretty heavy at the end. Not very. It's not like da 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 da, but it's just like this is the end of the song. But it's just incredibly chill. I love this song very much. New York, I love you and this song, but you're bringing me down. All right, enough of the advertisements. Enough of the break. This is the story you all want. The wolf story. So this is Christmas of 2017. This is northern Pennsylvania, so it's freezing cold all the time. It's like 6 degrees out. The ground is covered in like a foot of snow, maybe 6 inches of snow. My cousin and I go, what do you want to do? You know what we should do? Let me stop chewing, hang on. You know what we should do? We should go camping. We should sleep outside. That would be incredible. That'd be an incredible story. How cool would that be to say that we slept in the snow? My cousin agreed, of course. We came up with the idea together. I don't know if I made it up or not. Like I said, I don't want to give anyone credit. Because as stupid as these are, I don't want to blame anyone for coming up with them. They're also hilarious, and I don't want to steal any of the credit if it wasn't rightfully mine. We both did these equally. We wanted to go camping. So, I went to Walmart. I bought myself a nice Coleman sleeping bag. We got all the crap we needed. We have a cooler. We have blankets. We have a hat. Winter hat. We have gloves, a coat, and hot dogs, and a deck of cards. Actually, sorry, to make this story even better, I should have had this prepared, but I have the list on my phone from when this was from. This is when I originally wrote, this is camping list, December 30th, 2017. This is exactly what, I haven't changed this since we made this list. I have it in the notes on my phone. Sorry, camp list. Here's what we had. Hot dogs and fixins. S'mores and fixins. Tissues. Cards. Tarp. Rope. Game. Water. Jiffy Pop. Pan. Bacon. Little Caesars pizza. God. Oh my lord. So that's what we were going into this with, thinking this is what we needed for a camping trip. Not, of course you can't forget about the Little Caesars pizza. So we think, well, there's not really anywhere to camp in Colin's backyard, but the houses he's facing, behind them is just woods. So let's get into there, camp in the woods. So we walk in behind this guy's house. We kind of cut in on the road, so we weren't like going right through anyone's property. So we cut into the woods. It takes us like 15 minutes to try to get deep enough into the woods where we duck, or we're hopping over trees, cutting under trees, and finally, there's like we see like a kind of half open area. I mean, probably 10 feet open. So there's a log in our way going across like chest height. Or probably, probably waist height. A big log going across. So, and my cousin crawled under it, and I threw the cooler over. He was holding the cooler. I was holding it. He went under it, and I gave him the cooler. And then all I hear is Colin say, "Harrison, wolf." Now let me tell you how insanely fast my heart rate went from 80 to about 4,000. Because I didn't really hear anything. Colin, after the fact, told me like he heard this low growl. And I, of course, believe him. I mean, I know for a fact that he heard it, but you'll figure out why later. So he just tells me, "Harrison, wolf." And then we just and remember, like, we're not really right next to each other because he went under this log that was separating us, and we're deep in the woods. But we both just turned, and we know where the road is. I mean, we're not too far into the woods. We just sprint out, and we're both just screaming. I mean, I thought we were gonna die. I thought there was a wolf in the freezing cold, and I know there's like black bears up in Warren, so I was like, and I know there's coyotes and stuff, because my uncles hunt there. All my uncles that grew up with my dad, like they hunt, they got coyotes and there's wolves there and stuff. So I took him at his word, and we're sprinting out of these woods, like just chopping down trees. The adrenaline in us, we just ran through these trees. Whereas it took us 10 minutes to get in, it probably took us 5 seconds to get out, and then it ends like this steep hill with all these trees on it. And I just remember screaming, Colin, Colin, oh my God. Like I was scared Colin was going to die. And I, of course, was scared I was going to die. Like this was the only time in my entire life, I 100% mean, that I was prepared to die. I expected to die. And I was like yelling for Colin, making sure he was still alive. And we sprint out of the woods, up out onto the road. We leave the cooler there, and we're just like, oh my God, oh my God. There's nothing chasing us. We sprint to Colin's house. We run in, and everyone's still just hanging out. I mean, I don't remember how late it was, but there's, like, his parents were still awake. We were just, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. We almost just died. So we were like, should we tell his parents? Like, we had told his parents before we want to go camping. And they were like, no, no way you're going camping. It's 6 degrees outside. And we were like, well, we're just going to go hang out for a little bit. We're just going to bring everything we need to sleep there, but we're just hanging out. So we came back and we were like, we didn't want to tell them that we went to go camping in the woods, especially such an embarrassing story. Like we immediately were going to die. Not by hypothermia, like they said, but by a wolf. So he told his dad, and his dad just laughed. I remember that, and just like kind of made fun of us. And then we told his sister, and she was like kind of scared for us. So then his sister, my cousin, like her boyfriend at the time, was like, all right, let's go back in there. We gotta, like, he had his truck. I had a BB gun. Let's go back in there and get our cooler. So we waited like 10 minutes, 10 or so, to make sure the wolf was gone. But we were like, uh-oh. Like, so we were driving back to the woods now. I mean, it's seriously down the block from his house. But we get there, and we're just kind of walking into the woods like, uh-oh. I mean, we had a cooler full of hot dogs. What if there's scratch marks on this cooler? What's going to happen? So finally, it took us like 10 minutes to get in, but then once we went back again, it took us like 30 seconds. And maybe it took us 30 seconds the first time, but it just seemed like so fun. Oh, it's a 10-minute walk going into the woods. And we knew exactly how to get there, and we were like, yep, that's the cooler. That's the cooler. So we pick it up and just walk out, and we're just kind of freaked out. And then we see the house that we said, like, we cut through, like the house whose woods it's behind, had our footprints and then paw prints, like in the snow, of a dog that ran, like, out and then ran into the woods and then back out, like, with us. And didn't chase us, but just, like, just to prove, like, that there was a dog that came from this guy's house that then came back and, like, went to the guy's house again. So we were just kind of like, oh my God, we are freaking morons. Not to say that the dog wasn't there to attack us. I mean, it growled. Like I said, I didn't, like, we knew there was a dog there. But it was just the neighbor's dog. It wasn't a wolf. Which would have been nice to know, because that was the most scared I have ever been in my life. Genuinely thinking I was going to die, and not just die like shot in the back of the head. I thought I was going to be torn apart by a freaking wild wolf. What's the word? What's the word for feeble? Feral. We were going to be attacked by a feral wolf. And that wouldn't be a good way to go. That, of course, concluded the scariest story of my life. Now, like I said, it fit this theme of, I think every story here fit the theme of, well, what did you think was going to happen? Kind of, even like the first one where it's like, oh, you can't read? Well, what did you think was going to happen when you tried to read that bus? Do you think we're just going to all of a sudden know what that said? Oh, you jumped in a swimming pool without a step ladder? Well, what did you think was going to happen? So that's what happens when I go hang out with my cousin in Warren. But I will also say that those are my favorite memories in my entire life. So, like I said, someone I consider one of my closest friends. One of my best friends. Because we have so much in common. Similar, of course, similar stories. Every story of mine that's even worth telling is one that he's in. Very similar interests, I guess. Anyway, sorry. I don't want to get into freaking nitty gritty here with the white coffee viewers. But those are my Warren stories. And I hope I could keep you interested despite talking about politics for the first 5 minutes of this episode. I knew I wanted to get into it just because that's a fun title. And we're all thinking the same thing. Who's the president? But I knew I wanted to make up for making such a big mistake by not recording White Coffee earlier. But I guess I'm glad I did, because if I recorded White Coffee earlier, I wouldn't have told such great stories. These are my favorite stories of my life. If you don't like them, I'm sorry. White Coffee's not going to get any better than this. These are my favorite stories of all time. Hopefully by Tuesday we'll know who the president is. Who knows if we will or not. Maybe this will be dragged out till January. But of course, I hope you all had a great day. I hope you all listen to this episode, even though it's 41 minutes long. I hope you all share this episode. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. And I'll see you on Tuesday with the next episode of White Coffee.